This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to episode 12 of season 3 of the Voice of the Land podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold. Alongside me, as always, my brother, Nick Paulus, and our producer extraordinaire, who is behind the proverbial glass, who you really can't see as we are all in the deepest corners of our houses these days, Peter Tella. Of course, we are partnered with Web Streaming Studio by LPV and NEO Sports Network. We welcome all listeners Saturdays at 4 p.m. on the Cuyahoga Valley Radio Network, cuyahogaValleyRadio.com. And of course, you can always hear the podcast posted throughout the week on Google, Spotify, and Apple. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for all of our video content at Voice of the Land Podcast. Find us on all social media sites. Hit the follow button on Instagram and Twitter at VTL_POD, at VTL_pod. Hit the like button on Facebook at Voice of the Land. Of course, you can follow Nick Paulus at CLE_Paulus, myself on Twitter at Kevin7, and of course, find Web Streaming Studios. You can find LPV Productions across the social media sites. Today is week 2 of quarantined edition of the Voice of the Land. We've now had our stay-at-home order extended out to May 1st. How are you guys handling it a week later after first week of trying this out?
I'm hanging in there right now. Week 2? It feels like it's like week 59 already. I've been playing a lot. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Every day is like a full week, a week and a half. I feel like this is like dog years. I've been playing a lot more video games. I just picked up RBI Baseball 20 for the Xbox. I've played RBI and now and then the show for PS4. The show kicks its ass. I am so disappointed. Yeah, I'm disappointed with RBI Baseball and the way that it's all set up. Like, they don't have ratings. They don't have. It's a weird sort of game. Their franchise mode is booty. It's not great right now. But I'm
really
dealing with it. Right, yeah. Bring back Rant of the Week. But it is one of those. It's one of those games where it's just getting me by right now. I'm starting to like it a little bit, but it really does make me miss having a a PlayStation. So, but other than that, I'm hanging in there. How about you, Peter?
Basically, I'm working from home. The weirdest thing is working with the city right now because of social distancing. We're doing everything we can to allow, like, all the council people, all the people there to work, remotely in the meetings. So there's a chance that I'm going to be the only person at City Hall running the stuff behind the scenes. And,
wow.
Which, it's weird. I mean, it's just a weird thing, but you're right, man. It feels like I've been here forever. But, we got a new puppy, so that's kind of...
Did see that.
Yeah, that's kind of something to distract us from the being stuck here. So
there you go. What's the puppy's name?
We named him Mac. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, not sure why, but there was a whole list of names, and that was the one that everyone said, yeah, we like that name, and so we're going with that. So, it could be the, I went to Akron. That's in the Mac. It works.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Mac action. That's it.
Right, and it's a friend of podcasts and one of our first guests, Mac Robinson. No, it's not named after you, so don't get a big head if you're listening to this, Mac. always gotta keep our fellow brother in check,
Have to.
But I mean, over here, it's been a weird week, I guess, transitioning to working from home. Definitely had a lot of issues with it. Been calling IT all week, so I feel like I'm pretty good friends with them over there, more so than helping people out on at work. But Hey, I mean, if it keeps me off the phones for a little bit, it's okay. Working through some of the technical issues and stuff. I haven't hardwired into a computer in a long time, and you have to do that for this home-based setup that we have. I haven't had to do that in a while, so it's like turning off everything that's on Wi-Fi except for my aunt's computer because she's working from home too. So I've turned off everything else that goes on Wi-Fi throughout the day, except for her computer, and then of course I'm hardwired in, so we can both work from home, and there's no technical problems. I don't think the technical problems I've had has been based on that. I think it's been more so just kind of the setup, and they've had to send out different equipment to a bunch of people, so it's more the equipment and just trying to get all this equipment for everybody to start working from home so quickly and kind of rushing that instead of getting the right stuff and making sure it all works before they can send it out. So, it's a transition, but I feel fortunate, like I've said, to still be working. And, I feel for all those that are out of work right now, as we always do. I know that we kind of came up with the saying at the end of the podcast that we love everyone 3000 because of our big Marvel fandom that we share, and the scenes from the Endgame movie. I mean, at this point, it's not really a spoiler. If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. Um, but it really has become a true sentiment for us as well that we really hold true. The reason why Love You 3000 resonated with us is because it really is a true statement, and it's more so a big impactful statement right now that we do love everyone 3000. We hope we can get through this. People keep with their social distancing, washing your hands, following those CDC guidelines, so we can get back to what we love. There's still sports to talk about, but some of the sports we have to talk about today is still being impacted by this. And that's kind of where we're going to start with the sports conversations today, because Brian Windhorst of ESPN, basketball insider for them, is talking about how the league officials in the NBA are very pessimistic about getting this season back going. It's looking more and more like the NBA season could be canceled following the Chinese Basketball Association model and just canceling the season and just trying to get it back going next season. Paulus, when you saw this news, kind of what was your reaction, kind of now that we're turning more towards not just suspension and getting back going a couple months later, and instead of now looking more like we're just gonna, the last memory of basketball is the last memory you have this season. We got to wait all the way until September next year.
Yeah, the last memory of basketball is Rudy Gobert, walking off, not being there, and that entire Jazz debacle that happened. It's sad. It really is. It's one of those things where you weren't expecting something like this to happen. You kind of figured, okay, they're going to shut it down for a little bit, and in Adam Silver is the best of the commissioners. You and I have talked about this before. I think that he is a phenomenally great ambassador of the game, of the game, and he does everything the right way. So if this is the right call to cancel the season, he's going to make that very, very tough decision. It sucks. Blatantly, I mean, just come out with it. It absolutely sucks. This was supposed to be LeBron's fourth ring. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, all he had to do was get through the Clippers, and he gets through the Clippers, and then obviously coming out of the East probably would have been the Milwaukee Bucks, which would have been cool to see them in the NBA Finals. Um, but yeah, this was supposed to be LeBron's fourth ring. This is supposed to be that um, the Lakers comeback year. The
Right.
fact that Kobe Bryant passed away January, what was it, January 28th or 29th, I believe. The fact that he passed away then, and then just all of that emotion. I mean, we haven't talked about it in forever. That would be a mainstay conversation piece if the NBA was still going on right now. It's a terrible thing because obviously you want to have sports going on. We love the NBA. You and I both love the NBA, and it is sad that we don't have that going on right now. But once again, we have to be safe than sorry, and that's kind of where we're at with the entire world. and
Right.
it's just what we have to do for right now.
Right. And we say it all the time that we understand that there are bigger things in life than sports, but
Absolutely.
sports is our passion. Sports is something that you and I and a lot of people really get into. And it's not just necessarily a distraction for us, it's more than that. It is still part of our lifestyle, it is part of who we are as people, but is still a distraction for us from bigger things that go on in life. And right now, the reality of it is that sports is part of the angst and frustration, or just the feelings that everybody has of the unknown going on with this whole coronavirus crisis. Sports is adding to that rather than helping to distract from it. Sports has played a major role in distracting from a lot of things. You go all the way back to the unfortunate and tragic events of 9/11, and when sports and the Mets or the Yankees played after those events and kind of sports got going again, and you saw the national anthem ceremonies before games and God Bless America, those types of elements at that time of the year, it didn't ease anything, but it just kind of helped to distract people and kind of give people that sense of hope, that sense of togetherness, and helped build the patriotism that was built there. There's still that sense of togetherness right now, but it's just sports is being affected by it, and the NBA is one of those. And we know that Adam Silver, if he makes a decision, it's the right decision because people trust in him being that commissioner. You said it best. He is the best commissioner out of all the major sports, and then people are going to follow him. Our governor here, Mike DeWine, we have to give him a lot of credit right now as well on this podcast, because he has been the model for the nation for other states on how to handle this crisis overall, and the advice and the steps taken, the measures taken have been a model. You look in sports, Adam Silver is that guy, and the NBA was the first one to make the decision. Look, we have someone testing positive, things are happening, this could really spread, it's very serious, we're going to suspend our season. If they cancel, it's going to be canceled for a reason, and it's going to be the right decision as much as it may sting. You mentioned how it could have been the Lakers versus the Bucks in the finals, and LeBron could have got his fourth ring. And of course, I'm wearing my block shirt because we'll talk about this in a little bit. ESPN has been playing some of the bigger games in sports history, and they played Game 5 and Game 7, and this is one of the biggest sports moments out there of our memory and in recent past. But
Absolutely.
This was supposed to be LeBron's fourth ring, and in a year that Kobe passed away, and it could have been. Everybody always regrets. I know LeBron regrets this, not being able to play against Kobe in the 2009 NBA Finals. That could have been the passing of the torch in a certain regard, of LeBron kind of taking that mantle. He took the mantle, but never really in that seminal moment that you kind of see in sports. Well, would it be LeBron kind of showing Giannis the way and winning his fourth title, or Giannis trying to take on that next big player, fully taking that on by having that finals moment that we never got between LeBron and Kobe, but we could get between LeBron and Giannis? If that goes away, as a sports fan, it stings, but as a human being, you understand it.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. It would have been. I mean, it's the big city versus the little city. David versus Goliath. Even though David has a Goliath in Giannis,
Right.
it's definitely, once again, it just sucks. It really
Yeah.
just sucks, the fact that we're going to be losing out on what I was hoping for was a climatic, end of the year celebration of
Mhm.
joy, and whether it was Milwaukee Bucks and them winning their first finals, and what, since Kareem was there, since he
Right.
wasn't even known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar there. He was known as
Lou
Lou
Alcindor.
Alcindor. Yeah, he was known as Lou Alcindor there. So it is very crazy that we're not going to get to see that. Most likely, we won't get to see that. Once again, it's the right thing to do. If Adam Silver says that it's the right thing to do, then we got to trust him. I mean, he hasn't stirred us wrong yet. He hasn't turned us wrong yet doing anything like that. So got to trust the man. And if he feels like it's not a feasible finishing, doing the NBA finals in July or August, then it is what it is.
Yeah, and you wonder if the NBA makes that decision because they don't feel like they will be able to go deeper into the summer to finish their season. Is that more so just because of how much time that they've been off and trying to get everything back going again? Or does that mean that baseball has to look at their season? Because if NBA can't go into July or August, well, now you're already most of the way past the halfway point, about 70% of the way through the baseball season. What happens with that? And this was supposed to be Frankie Lindor's, potential last season with the Indians, and we both think that he would be gone after this season, and what kind of money he would be owed, and how the Indians organization, or at least in terms of high-powered, high-paid free agents, and not really paying those kind of prices for players, then you wonder if do we see Frankie's last at bat already? Or do we still get an opportunity to see that in Indians uniform? I mean, these are the questions we have to look at and ask, and that's what's coming up with this whole issue. Again, the social distancing, the washing the hands, the CDC guidelines, making sure that you're careful for yourself, you're careful for your family and friends. That's the most important thing. But when you get into different elements that you're passionate about, I mean, people can't go to concerts. You're getting concerts on TV or live streams on Facebook. You can't, you can't go to art museums. You can't go to science, natural history museums, like things that people are passionate about. You can't go to. When do those things come back? When do those passions, those distractions come back? And for us as sports fans, it's a question we have to ask. Have we seen Frankie's last at bat in Indians uniform? Will this impact LeBron's ability to ever win another championship in the NBA? Will the NFL just continue to stay on schedule as they are? Will the NHL be able to come back? When will the soccer seasons come back? Because we've talked soccer before, and the big tournaments, they are the biggest league in all of the world. The English Premier League has suspended indefinitely. They thought they could come back towards the end of May or some point in May. They've gone to an indefinite suspension because they don't know. No one knows. And I think that is the scariest part. And I think that's why mental health right now is also a major thing to keep an eye on, and, reaching out to people, because some people are just following the guidelines and they're just going to go with it. Other people, they are nervous, they are scared, and you have to feel for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly one of those scared people. I mean, I am out of a job.
I am too.
It's one of those moments where I don't know how. Like, thankfully, my wife works for the Cleveland Clinic, and she's an
Right.
essential employee, so that's it helps. But it is one of those things where, like, I'm scared for my job. At ESPN, I was just talking to them the other day, and I'm
Mhm.
we're we cut back on all the hours for part timers. That's across the board. That's
Right.
across the Karma brands, and we're not sure when we're going to be able to come back. And if they keep, if they lose advertisers, or over this, which I'm assuming they have, if you lose enough advertisements, then my job goes away. And I've worked my ass off to get to where I am, and I was hoping to become a co-host, and finally become a co-host and be able to go on on there and do the things that I was hoping to be able to accomplish. Um, but that might be going away, and it's terrifying because I've put a lot of work into this. But it's not just about me; it's about everyone. And once
Right.
again, I understand that this is for the better, for the betterness of our world. If I have to lose my job in order for my grandma to be saved, and I know it doesn't go hand in hand, but if that's the case, then I'm obviously my job doesn't matter that much.
Right. Right, absolutely. I mean, I know Peter's saying, just remember they can always advertise on Voice of the Land. We'll take some advertisements, because you're already a
Hey,
co-host, Paulus.
I mean that's true. Let's get some of those advertisers on here. We'll do like half the asking price that ESPN does. So let's do that. I like the way you think, Peter. Well done.
Yeah, I'll take 25%. I mean, come on, we'll just get things started.
Just
I've
watching
seen
out for
some
you
of those,
guys.
I was gonna say I've seen some of those numbers. We can do like 10%, and we'll be looking good.
Yeah. But you just hit the nail on the head though, Paulus, and you mentioned your wife working for the Cleveland Clinic, and I think it is important right now that we do take a brief moment to acknowledge. We already acknowledged our governor here in Ohio, but I want to acknowledge and thank and send a thank you from us here at the Voice of the Land to all the first responders, the nurses, the doctors, those on the front lines fighting this, working their ass off. As Paulus mentioned, I mean, we all try to work our ass off, but they are definitely working their ass off to try to, they're begging and pleading for more materials, more masks, and people are obliging. And I know that Patriots owner Robert Kraft just flew in on his private plane over 1 million of those PPE masks, or the protective equipment that they need. And that was some of those, over 300 or 400,000 of those materials were rolled in on the Patriots truck to hospitals in New York. The battles in sports between New York and Boston, but in this sort of crisis, those sort of lines go away. Those battle lines those go away, because they're more just temporary battle lines, because we are all Americans. We are all members of this world. We're all working together to try to help this. And I want to thank, and I know you guys do as well, I want to thank all the frontline workers like Paulus's wife and all those others that are putting so much time into this and helping us fight. And we need to do what we can to prevent any influx and increase, so that they can manage each case that comes in, or each severe case that comes into the hospitals, and they're not overrun.
Yeah, I mean, once again, thank you to everyone out there. Once again, my wife Kelly works for the Cleveland Clinic, and beyond thankful for what she does. She's working 50, 60 hours a week,
Yeah.
doing her job. And then, I mean, they're looking to transfer her to other sites that are in more need of her. We're talking ERs, we're talking ICUs. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different places that are in need of highly qualified people. And that's exactly what my wife and a bunch of her friends are right now. And I mean, they are the most essential people. It's exactly
Yes.
what they are. And we're thankful for all of them. So just a big, huge VTL shout out to everyone out there. Thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to add, in addition to all the medical workers, just the people that are still doing the supply chains, the truckers,
Yeah.
the people. I went to Giant Eagle yesterday to get some groceries, stock up on some basic things. They had people wiping down the handles on every case and everything, cleaning everything as people are shopping.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of people, and honestly, the store was pretty well stocked except for toilet paper. So there's a lot of food, a lot of stuff out there, but I appreciate the fact that those people are there, and if you need to go get something, you can. Just
Right.
Yeah,
don't bring the whole family like I saw some people doing.
right. Yeah.
I mean, I've even seen some of my former teachers. One of them is on Facebook, and he's going through stores, and he's got like he's only bringing him and his wife, and he's got like the tape measure uh, pulled out to like 6 feet, I think it is. And it's got like, he's got it stopped on there, so he's got like the distance between him and his wife, and like making sure that everybody is spread out. So when he walks past someone, he's like, "Do you know each other?" They're like like a couple feet away from each other. He's like, "Do you know each other?" So it's been kind of like a funny video, but it's still true. I mean, if you have to go out, you got to go. You got to go out. You got to get supplies for your family, but you don't need to bring everybody and put everybody in harm's way. And then you're able to kind of keep your distance anyways, and still protect your family while they're at home and getting the essential materials that you need as well. So that's definitely where we're at now with that. But some things in the sports world that some of these stations like ESPN, like Fox Sports are trying to do to help people, help distract, are playing some of the biggest games in history. And we mentioned already Game 5, Game 7 were played on Wednesday night on ESPN. Of course, with the block and the shots. Of course, I only have a T-shirt with the block. I don't have the shot. I do have
Wait,
a.
you don't have the
nice
Kevin
shirt.
Love to stop?
I don't. I mean, I could get like I could just make up my own shirt that says like a stop sign on it or something. I don't know. Put like Kevin Love in it or Curry.
Right, yeah. Just
Kevin Love to Curry.
do the stop. Yeah, do the stop sign. The stop sign picture with Kevin Love's face right in the middle of it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, no, you'd have to do something like Curry in there. I don't know. It'd have to be some sort of like reference to Kevin stopping Curry. Curry,
It should,
Curry
it should
kind of
be a
stopped
photo of a photo of Kevin like stopping Curry inside the
Yeah,
stop sign. I think I just gave GVR like their most prized possession right there. That'd be
I
a
know.
great shirt.
See, we're always trying to like get advertisers on here too, and I know you may have kind of put one away with the MLB game that you're playing, RBI baseball or whatever it is. But you're always
Yeah.
drinking the Bang energy drinks, and you're trying to get those advertisers. I thought about wearing a GV artwork shirt because hey, I love all their all the attire that they make, and I try to wear as much of that as I can. I figured since we were talking about the greatest games, though, I had to wear my block shirt today. So this was kind of just like a generic one that was made. But shout out GV Artwork, great stuff that you guys do, and great community efforts that you guys are putting in as well. I know that they're donating money out there to try to help with the effort. So shout out to the guys from GV Artwork. But in terms of these greatest games, are you watching these replays? Are you what are some of the greatest games that you've ever seen that you want them to replay on TV right now?
I did catch Game 7. I missed Game 5. I was, I think we were doing dinner, so I missed Game 5. But I did catch pretty much the entire second half of Game
Mm-hmm.
7, and just reliving it. I mean, I actually have Game 7 purchased on my phone, and I've watched it from time to time. But it's been a while. I mean, it's probably been at least over a year since I've seen it. And going through that game, it was like you forget the little things. Like I forgot about Amon Shumpert's 4-point play. I forgot how bad, how sloppy that first half was. Going into the second half, which is where I caught it. It was just a super sloppy game, and then Amon comes out, hits the 4-point play. JR's quick 8 points in the second half, and then you just remember like all of Kyrie's unbelievable shots that he was making. He did his little guitar riff, after throwing it up there, and so that was really cool. But the one thing that I wish going back, I don't get worried that we're going to lose the game. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I got so worried that something bad was going to happen." Okay, old Cleveland, let's back off.
Right.
There.
Well, remember, it was also April Fool's, so a bunch of the trolls and the people trying to be funny on Twitter were. And I made sure to mention this week that people are getting too wrapped up in some of these trolls out there. Like that Sir Yacht guy is like going back at every single troll that's on Twitter for Pittsburgh and Baltimore. They don't have a profile pic. If they don't have a profile picture and they got one name for their just like their regular name and then a whole different thing for their at name, it's a troll. It's someone trying to get a rise out of you. We're already frustrated enough being inside. Message to everybody out there: stay away from the trolls.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a list of like the 64 worst accounts.
Yeah,
And it's obviously it has like Paul Brown on it, and all of the people that and McNeil, and it's just I don't know, like people just need to cool it and just calm down because things are, I mean, as bad as things are out there, you don't need to be typing craziness on on this
right.
website. I mean, it blows my mind.
Well, and some of those guys like Sir Yacht, McNeil, I mean, Paul Brown is we've even talked with him, and we trying to get guests on the show. We got to figure all that out down the road now with how we have to do things for right now. But guys like that, or even more specifically McNeil and Sir Yacht that have some funny videos. Right now, a lot of those accounts and even the extra trolls that you don't know, you've never seen them before. You don't even know who's behind the account. It's like a burner account or something. They're trying to force funny in a time where, yeah, we're already frustrated in the house as it is. And then you come out with a joke that may be insensitive or just like trying to force it. And it just doesn't resonate right now. Let's all kind of work through this together. If you have some sports takes, get them out there, but you don't have to force being funny. I mean, we're getting a little off track of these greatest games, but just a little side PSA in terms of the sports world there. Stay away from the trolls, and if you got something funny, let it happen genuinely. Don't try to force it every single day to just get content out there.
Right. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. So let's hop back into the greatest games here for us. Smooth transition, if I say so myself. Uh, but yeah, some of the greatest games there for us. Obviously, Game 5, Game 7, like we were talking about. I believe it was ESPN just played the Rose Bowl of
Yeah.
the Vince Young, Texas versus Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Pete Carroll, USC, and hands down, probably a top 5 game that I've ever seen,
Mhm.
especially college football. And college football has some of the greatest games that you will ever see. But that's right up there for me. One of the games that doesn't get enough recognition, and I actually was watching the 30 for 30 of it the other day, and
Mhm.
us being from Ohio State, I think we're gonna agree on it. But the 2002 Buckeyes game versus
Mhm.
Miami, I mean, just there were so many great football players on that field, and
Right.
I mean, there's once again the little moments that you forget. Craig Krenzel throwing an interception. I believe it was on first down, first or second down, in the end zone, and Sean Taylor, the late great Sean Taylor, running it back. Maurice Claret slips it from him, and then you get the ball back, and then end up going down, kicking a field goal. Miami comes back, kicks their field goal, go into double overtime, and the rest is history. But that's one of those games that I will always remember watching. I was over at my dad's house watching it, and whenever Chris Gamble was like, throw the flag, we thought the game was over, and my dad was like, "Oh, it was a great season." And then all you heard was, "There's a flag on the field," and everyone's going crazy for it, and ended up winning that game. That was great. And I want to finish it here for my thoughts. The greatest game that I've ever been to personally was the Indians Yankees divisional game from a couple of
Mhm.
years ago. Whenever we were down 8-3, Frankie hits the grand slam to put it the 7-8, and then they go into, I think it was the 13th or 14th inning, and they
Something like
win it.
that.
I believe it was a Jan Gomes walk off hit, and that's the greatest game that I've personally ever been to.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking through some of the greatest games. I mean, Game 5 and Game 7, even just all three of those games. I mean, I can just remember where I was and the memories of those. Now, I actually didn't watch, and I don't know why this is, but I actually struggle to watch games I've already seen. When I can watch The Office over and over and over and over again, or movies like the Marvel movies over and over and over again, where there's major surprises and you go through emotional roller coaster in those, something about the live sports element and how those emotions just in big moments, in playoff moments, how those emotions just go through that a different type of roller coaster because it's all happening in the moment. It wasn't already filmed, and now you're finding out what directions someone decided to go with a movie or a TV show that you don't want to give spoilers to. It's more so like it's being directed, it's being the pathway, the storylines are changing within the actual action that you're watching in that moment. And it's just something about that where I can watch the YouTube highlights of those games and get the emotions back. And I cry every single time that I see that last shot go up and the emotions on the sideline and the emotions in LeBron after game 7. What I felt, I still watched the shot from Kyrie, the block from LeBron. I still feel those emotions, but like going through an entire game that I've already seen and knowing the results and knowing, what really the most impactful moments of those games, it's like now I'm trying to fast forward to that point. And maybe that's a lack of sports fandom in me. I don't know, but it's just like the reason I love sports so much is that ever changing direction and emotion that sports causes with a live event versus, well, you don't get to see how maybe a movie like Avengers Endgame may have gone with one direction that they were going, and then the Russo brothers stopped, said cut, and they decided, okay, well, I don't like the way this is going or how we originally planned it. Let's go this way. Well, you don't get to see that change in momentum, in direction, or just how the pathway of those elements could have gone. You don't get to see that behind the scenes all the time in movies like you do in actual live sporting events. And I just remember, I remember being asked to go to work because I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods at the time. And I remember being asked, hey, like, we're going to open up. If the Cavs win tonight, we're going to open up. We're going to give all the, we're going to start selling the gear. We have it in the back. Nobody can see it yet. We can give it out. And I was like, you know what? I have watched game 5 and game 6 in the same way these last 2 times. And if we're going to win, I'm going to do it right. So no, I know I could get paid to watch this game right now, but I would rather sit alone in my furthest corner of the house, upstairs in the small TV room, sit on the couch in the same way and watch this game and go through that roller coaster emotion and see what happens. And I do regret not being downtown, not being around people because of what the end result was. Hindsight's always 2020, but I still wouldn't change it for the world, for the experience I went through. And then, of course, running around the house, hugging everybody, kissing the trophy through the TV. I mean, just the emotions that something like that causes. And, I guess the only other big game that I can think of right now that I would want to see, I would want them to replay, would be one of the Ohio State Team Up North games. The Troy Smith, when Ohio State and the Team Up North were 1 and 2 in the rankings, and it was the chance to go to the national championship game. I think it ended up 42-40, 42-39, and it was just back and forth. And that it was the game, as they call it. It was the rivalry. It was that action.
I believe it was nicknamed, what was it, the game of the century, I believe is what it was nicknamed.
Right. Both teams in the greatest rivalry in all of college sports and one of the top rivalries in all of sports, going at it, both at the top of their sport, going back and forth. Those are the kinds of moments you want to see. I guess the Indians did play that Seattle Mariners game where we kind of talked about it recently, where I was at that game, but only through inning 7, where they came back from that 14-2 deficit and won that game, with Seattle being one of the best teams in the major leagues that year. Kind of talked about how, Grandpa was older and couldn't really sit there the whole time, but I wouldn't change those experiences either. Even just being at the game for a little bit of time with my dad and my grandpa. Those are the sports moments that I hope we can get back to very soon.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's some great games out there. I mean, obviously, once again, we've already talked about Game 5, Game 7, a lot. Obviously the Buckeyes game. I mean, all of those games are classics, and
Yes.
and we're so thankful that we've gotten to see a lot of these either in person or, tuning in, and then they're right there. So, super thankful for all of that. I did want to finish up here talking about the NFL draft. Now, the NFL
Mhm.
draft is 3 weeks away.
Right.
A lot of things are, kind of up in the air here for us, but we are. Can we officially say that that we have a plan? Can we officially say that?
We can officially say that we have a potential plan in place to potentially be all together for a potential draft that is still supposed to happen, as according to Roger Goodell, and may have some interesting elements to it. Which I did get some notification on that here just recently, and I'll go through that in a second. But it's going to be, we're trying to work through some things because we're trying to get all enthralled in the one little sporting event that is still, that carrot is still out there for us to grasp, to have that sports conversation, and just distract us for a few moments from everything else going on. And I will, Paulus, you've been a big person, big organizer behind this. So I will let you kind of describe it to the people, and we'll kind of discuss where we're thinking about going with it.
Sure. We are going to be doing basically a virtual draft party there for us. This was actually proposed to us by our good friend, Always Positive Jay. Shout out Jay. And he came up with the mindset that we could do this over video. Basically do like a Zoom
Right.
sort of video platform here for us, and bring in either other podcasters. We're thinking of doing it with the That's What B Said crew. So I'm definitely going to be contacting them as soon as this is up. I'm going to throw a DM over to them and see if we can get something set up here over the next 2 weeks. Maybe they'll be able to come on to our podcast, and you'll be able to promote it before then. That way we can work out the kinks there
Yeah.
for us. And once we get that all set up, then for the NFL draft, I think what we're going to do is we'll do the first round of the NFL draft. It's the biggest night of them all.
Right.
So what we'll do is we'll do that. The Browns have the 10th pick of the draft, and I personally would like to do the entire draft. So if the draft starts at 7:30, we'll come on at 7 o'clock, and we will, just video it all. We'll have the audio and video ready either, the following day or soon after. We'll get
Right.
everything all edited up. It usually takes about 3 hours to do a first round.
Mhm.
So we'll have all of that posted and ready to go afterwards. But we would love to be able to bring in the other podcasters. And if any one of you that are listening would, either like to join, or, you have an idea of who you want us to bring on, let us know. We would love to be able to get in contact with anyone. Jay's already contacted Eric Metcalf, and
Mhm.
he had stated that he really wants him to come onto the podcast and join us as well for the first round coverage. That would be a dream. That would be phenomenal, and we would absolutely love that. Just being able to talk to former Browns players along with podcasting partners in crime, we would love to do that. And we'll get it all set up. Peter and I, we were talking about this a little earlier. We're going to get set up on Zoom, which is apparently doing way better than what Skype is. Uh, so
Yeah.
we were talking about that. Yeah, Skype is old news, I guess. But yeah, so we'll probably do it on Zoom. We'll get everything posted, ready to go, and do that entire first round.
Yeah, and that would be really cool if we, like we said, we're gonna keep working on this behind the scenes, trying to put things together, doing a lot of test runs because it's a new experience and something, you're so used to going out to either sports bars or restaurants, and you're seeing local radio broadcasts, whether it's ESPN Cleveland or 92.3 The Fan or anything like that. They have these remote broadcasts, and you got the beat reporters out in Berea, kind of just outside the door of the war room, getting trying to get as much information on where the Browns are going as they get closer to the draft. A lot of that stuff is going to change, and I mean, even for these NFL teams, I mean, I'm looking at a report from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, and they're already talking about, and even Tom Pelissero has already talked about that there's two options that the NFL has put out there: either very limited personnel allowed at the facilities, and at least being able to kind of be 6 feet apart but still talking to each other in person, or they're all going to have to be at their remote locations, and everybody's going to be on Wi-Fi or the internet at that time. So who knows what kind of what that may cause around the country in terms of inhibitants of maybe even something as small as our virtual draft party if we're able to get that going. But teams may have to communicate that way. And Ian Rappaport yesterday said that the at EA Sports is looking to they're working on it right now, trying to generate like a virtual or a video game-esque look to each player coming across the stage to have their handshake, their virtual handshake with the commissioner, Roger Goodell, when they get their name heard. So all these players having to be
awesome.
at home. Right. So
That
you're
is
not going to
awesome.
you're not going to have those Aaron Rodgers moments of someone stuck in the green room, because some guy, and a lot of, it's been more of a trend recently where people have been staying at home. These prospects have been staying at home, hanging with their families, enjoying that moment with their families more so than at the actual draft. Well, now they're all going to be at home, and if the ones that really want to be there want that handshake and that hug from the commissioner, they want that moment that they've grown up watching and dreaming of their whole life. EA Sports is going to try to give that to them, and it's maybe not like a full-on replacement for it, but it's got to be really cool because you're getting into not just millennials, but now what is it, Gen Z, Gen Y is the
Z.
Gen Z. I mean, video games, live streaming, virtual stuff like that has been a big thing for that generation. So it's kind of like it would be a cool moment to already be in a video game without being officially in the league just yet. Your first moment in the league is being in a video game, and that would be pretty cool. And then the other interesting note is that each prospect will choose a high school to give a $2,500 grant towards their football program. So kind of helping high school sports, which is youth sports in general, is something that was needing some funds, needing a lot more money, and that's definitely a cool way of the NFL kind of paying it forward and allowing these prospects to kind of be like, hey, a lot of them are probably going to pick their former high school, and that'll be a really cool moment and an everlasting impact on that school. That hey, they loved it here, they loved their time here, and it helped grow their love of sports, and they're willing to give back to us. And that is a big thing and a big moment, more impact than even what they'll do on the field for a lot of those high school football programs.
Yeah, I mean that would be a phenomenal way to cap off a turbulent sort of situation. I mean, obviously the way the NFL has worked over the last, I mean, it's been close to 35, 40 years. They've been doing it this way, of having people walk across the stage, and it's one of the highlight moments of that person's life, and they're not able to accomplish it this year because of this pandemic that's going on. It would be really cool to see EA Sports, and hopefully they'll be able to do it in time.
Yeah, and like I said, I know that they're working diligently on being able to do that, and hopefully they're able to get that going, because there's still going to be high school kids watching back at home that are still dreaming of going to the NFL, and just seeing it, and if it goes off really well, then there's kind of some other options and other directions that they can go if you don't want to see anything like this have to happen again. But if they wanted to, if it becomes a big thing and they want to do 1 year in the future where they do it this way again, there already be a precedent set for it as well. But we hope that we can get back to somewhat normalcy here soon, even for the high schools and even the grade school kids. A lot of the schools are out now till May 1st, and who knows if these seniors, what kind of moments they're going to get. Hopefully, I know the school here in my district, they've extended like the prom date out into July to try to, give them that moment. And we'll see about graduations and stuff, college graduations, and just kids being able to kind of finish out the year and have those end of the year parties. You feel for those schools. So having money kind of coming back towards the schools and sports programs is a really cool thing. And those are the bright stories, heartwarming stories that you're seeing go on around the country at this time. So, but hopefully, stay tuned. We'll have more details as it comes out each week. We'll kind of let you know where we're at with it, or if we're able to kind of bring any of them on. Brittany Mollis and Breezy Clee on Twitter. I think it's at Mollis on Twitter. Is that what her handle is? Want to make sure we get the follows out there.
Yeah, no, I got it right here. Bird's Eye View.
Yes, Bird's Eye View.
MK on Sports, and Breezy Clee.
Yep. So Meredith Kane, Brittany Mollis, and Bree out there with that's what B said, trying to get them on. Thank you to Always Positive Jay for putting this idea out there and working with us to help us try to get this set up, reaching out to Eric Metcalf and some other people. So big things on the horizon. Hopefully we're able to get that going. I guess Paulus will be in the DMs of everybody after this podcast is posted. So thank you to your work behind the scenes to Peter as well. But that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the Voice of the Land podcast. On that note, of course, I want to thank again all of our first responders, frontline workers, truckers, doctors, nurses, all those that are keeping everything sanitized and clean. Our governor, Mike DeWine, Dr. Amy Acton, of course, and all the Ohio state officials that are doing things the right way, and everybody that's following these CDC guidelines. Stay safe out there. We hope you all stay safe. And of course, thank you to Peter and Nick for all you guys do as well to help keep this podcast going. But for Nick Paulus and Peter Tellep, thank you all listening on Cuyahoga Valley Radio Network right now. We will see you all next week at 4 p.m. For those that are listening to the podcast on Google, Spotify, and Apple, of course, be sure to tune in next week. We'll have all the updates on this virtual draft and anything going on in the sports world. And anybody watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe, like button, rate us as well on all the podcast platforms. If you're on Apple, hit that 5-star and give us a review. We'd always love to see those reviews as well. Once again, for Nick Paulus and Peter Tellep, I'm Kevin Arnold telling all of you, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. And we truly, 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 in these times of need and in these times where we need to be socially distant but together in that, we truly love you all 3,000, and we hope we can get back to normalcy soon. We will see you all next week.